That's the best. And like you mentioned, like you have so many guests on your podcast, and you also like share things like how to become debt free, how to build wealth, and then you bring guests from different backgrounds
Mhm.
like investors, real estate, business owners. And one thing I noticed is that like everyone has their own definition of financial freedom lifestyle. And you also retired early. So I want to ask you like, what is the definition of financial freedom lifestyle for you?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, so for me, it's having enough money primarily in different investments where you don't actually have to work anymore by, having a job or having to run your own business or anything like that. And so once you have enough money where basically the investments can passively spin off cash flow for you, then I would say you're financially independent by definition. It's a bit of a tricky subject because at least from my own personal journey, I want in the beginning, I wanted to just retire early. And so we were able to do that, like in my 30s, which was great. But then what I realized is that, so we became financial independent, we retired early, and I only really lasted 6 months in like a full blown retirement. So after 6 months, I started feeling very unfulfilled. There's like, it's fun in the beginning because you have all this free time and you just have
Yeah,
fun and you catch up on all the Netflix shows you were missing and all this kind of stuff. But that actually gets old after a while, and you start feeling, kind of unfulfilled, and like you're wasting your potential as well, right? We get a lot of satisfaction in being good at being good at something, in helping
mm,
others, right? As opposed to just self-centered, pleasure, basically, right? And so after 6 months, I still running the podcast, but that's not like a full-time job or anything. Like we do one episode a month, so it's not a huge, thing. And so at that time, I started looking for other ways sort of to give back, and just also a new challenge and something that actually excites me and gets me fulfilled. And so I ended up actually taking over the Canadian Financial Summit, which is basically Canada's largest personal finance investing conference, and it's all online. And so it's kind of like the podcast where I get to interview other experts, that kind of thing, and it's all free as well for people to attend it. And that's at CanadianFinancialSummit.com. So yeah, so to kind of get back to your question, it's that is my definition of financial independence. But I sort of warn people that you don't just want to blindly go towards retirement because you never want to work again because maybe you don't like
mm,
your job. Because after you leave your job and you don't have to work there anymore, you're probably, I'm guessing you're going to be like me, where you're going to yearn for something else and you're going to want to take out projects. So it doesn't mean like you never work again. It's just now you're working on things you actually want to work on and that make you happy, and you're your own boss and it's fulfilling. So it's a shift, I would say.
yeah, I get it. I get it. So like, so if I'm getting you right, like correct me if I'm wrong. So retirement, getting retirement from your job for someone like, if you really want to retire, like retire from that job, but start working on things like you really love to do. And
Right.
if it's like getting money to you, like then it's even more better.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, and even at least for my own story, what we did or what I did is, while I was doing my full-time job, I basically had a side business that I started.
Mm,
And so I used that to sort of explore, what do I enjoy doing? What don't I enjoy doing? Making some money off it so I could actually retire early, using some of that extra income as well. Right. And so, yeah, definitely it's one of the best practices I've heard just by interviewing so many experts is that ideally you want to figure out what you want to do before you want to figure out what you want to do when you achieve financial independence before you actually achieve it. Because if you just all of a sudden you quit your job and then you wake up the next day, you don't have to go to work anymore. Yeah, you're going to have fun for like 6 months like I did or whatever. But then eventually you might actually start feeling empty. And if you have nothing else to go towards, I mean, like you could actually get depressed or not actually, you actually won't be happy, which sounds crazy because you're like, what do you mean? I don't have to work anymore.
yeah.
Isn't like happiness guaranteed at that point? And it's actually not. You actually just have the time now to find what you really like to do. And so yeah, a lot of guests that I've had do recommend that you actually try to sort of explore what you like to do. And so that way, when you leave your job, yeah, you're doing all those fun things, but you've already got something else, like a passion project that you're happy, that you'd basically do for fun. And
Mhm.
it's pretty easy if you like it to then kind of turn it around and actually make some money off it if you want, which helps things from a financial stability perspective as well. Like if the markets tank, you're like, oh, okay, I can take a little bit from maybe work a little extra harder in my business so that I don't have to sell my investments when the market's at the bottom,
Yeah.
right? So, so that can be helpful in that regard as well.